Mayor Edward Garcia,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Kelly Krebs,
Here.
Councilmember Jean Goss,
Here.
Councilmember Christine Lowe,
Present.
and Councilmember Robert Parkhurst.
You're in the flesh.
And we appreciate that. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum this evening.
Exactly.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. It's up to me to lead the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you're able, please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and just want to give a couple words of inspiration. Really, it's just a few quotes. I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm not known for keeping things short, but I'll try to keep this short, and so we can get on with city business. But as we're entering these shorter days, I know it's not quite winter yet. The solstice isn't upon us, but just want to kind of celebrate the season with a few famous quotes. Start out with a Japanese proverb. One kind word can warm these 3 winter months. And I had another good one here. If we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we did not sometimes taste adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. Anne Bradstreet. And I'll leave it at that. But as we enter this season, this is a season of waiting and hopefulness. So I do pray that we do see peace throughout the world, and everybody can be at peace with one another as we head into this time of winter. With that, I'd like to bring it back to the council for approval of the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have an agenda. Carries unanimously. Next, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval for reading resolutions and ordinances by title only.
Move to approve the reading of all resolutions and ordinances by title only and waive the reading in full.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor? Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you. That'll save some time. And moving on to our last set of minutes from the November 14th, 2023 council meeting. Do we have any changes from the dais here, or Madam City Clerk, did you receive any via email?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did receive one request from Councilmember Parkhurst to clarify the motion made in the public hearing at the last meeting. The minutes previously stated that Mayor Pro Tem Krebs made a motion to approve Resolution 23-69, approving a third amendment to settlement agreement and release with CETT Investments Corporation extended to June 13th, 2026. The request from Councilmember Parkhurst is to clarify the motion to instead read, Mayor Pro Tem Kelly Krebs made a motion to approve only the third amendment of Resolution 23-69, the settlement agreement and release. To that extent, approve with the change of the extension date with CETT Investments Corporation to June 13, 2026. Mr. Mayor, that amendment has been incorporated into the minutes, and upon the council's approval, we can have it signed this evening.
Thank you. Was
Context.
that your recollection, Mayor Pro Tem?
I think it's just a clarification. To me, it means the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, the way I read it initially was it didn't seem to carve out the other parts, and I didn't want anyone for posterity to think that we had approved the Macomber cabin because we postponed that. So that's where I was trying to, and it's what Madam Clerk did is she went and watched the city council meeting and tried to capture it as close to that as possible. So that was my thought in that.
Thank you. Okay. Any other substantive changes?
Mr. Mayor, that was the only change requested.
Okay. Well, if we don't have an issue with that amendment, I'd like to entertain a motion for the amended minutes. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to mayor and city council reports. Who would like to start? Please, Councilmember Goss.
somewhat long. I've been somewhat busy, I guess. Back on November 16th, the Women's Club had their annual prayer breakfast. This time they had it at the Masonic Lodge. I was honored to attend. Very well attended. They pulled it off at the lodge. It was wonderful. So kudos to members of the Women's Club. I look forward to that event every year. I did fill in as kind of a fill-in council liaison to the last Planning Commission meeting on the evening of the 16th, as our liaison and alternate liaison had scheduled conflicts. Among other items of business, the commission voted unanimously to designate the home at 327 Sierra Woods Drive, the Edgar W. Camp House, as a historical cultural landmark. And that's significant. And also, a significant amount of time was spent on continuing the review of the conditional use permit for private events and filming at the Alverno Heights Academy campus. Several proposed amendments will be scheduled for a public hearing in the very near future in front of the commission. I was unable to attend the November 20th Community Services Commission due to illness. I will be in contact with the chair and staff and bring any pertinent developments to the council in January. Last Thursday, I attended, along with City Manager Reynoso, the Southern California Association of Governments Annual Economic Summit at the Sheraton Hotel in downtown LA. We spent most of the day there listening to experts on the Southern California economy. The biggest takeaway was actually good news. SCAG is predicting the economic growth we will have economic growth. It'll be at a slower rate this year, but it will not be negative. We will not be looking at a recession. That's significant. Certainly others have predicted an economic downturn. Finally, this morning I attended the Foothill Employment Training Consortium Policy Board meeting. It looks like the state will be reducing their budget, among other budgets, for this next year. The executive director is not particularly concerned about it. I think they've already kind of baked that into the cake for their planned budget, so I think they're going to be able to manage it. We also reviewed the recent audit done of the consortium by the City of Pasadena auditor. The audit looked good. Some minor changes in protocols were stipulated, and the consortium is already putting those into process. And that is the end of my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Goss. Councilmember Lowe?
Let's see, it's been months, so it's been a lot of holidays. On 12/7, I went to the blessing of the menorah, which was at Christian Court, and it was really phenomenal because I didn't realize this, but in 1931, we had a Jewish temple that is on Lima, right near the Penny House, and when it became the Church of Christ, there was a cornerstone that was dedicated to the temple that was there, and different Sierra Madre families, 4 different families, have been in charge of kind of, I guess, holding that cornerstone. And the last one would be Glenn Lambden and his family, and his mom and his family were been holding it for years. And so they donated or gave it to the guard of the Pasadena temple. And the rabbi that came to speak, she's so dynamic. She's been in Sierra Madre a couple times. She lives here in town. And it was really fun. The kids had a great time doing their different prayers and songs. They gave donuts to everybody at the end. And it was really phenomenal because it was educational, as well as just a plethora of people in Sierra Madre from all different religions that came to help celebrate. So it was really neat. The other event I attended was last week. 2 days before that was the Bear Whisperer meeting. There's a new group in town that put it on, and I might get this name wrong. It's Sierra Madre something Love Bears. I'll figure that out and give you that report later. And it was really great because he's from Mammoth, and he was pretty much saying the same things that we started doing. He said we're doing a great job at the trash cans, and even if they have some issues we have with them, we're started in the right direction. And pretty much everything we're doing and planning was right what he was recommending. And now the next step is to get everybody on board in Sierra Madre. So we need all the neighbors to help buy in and learn about what we're going to take to help support the bears. The Planning Commission was canceled since Jean attended for us, and so we have no report there, and I can't remember what else I had.
That's quite a bit.
Miles not put up.
Thank you, Councilmember Lowe. Councilmember Parkhurst?
So the only thing I have is last Thursday, the Senior Commission had their monthly meeting, and there are 2 announcements coming out of that. Tomorrow, December 13th, from noon to 2 p.m., there's going to be the senior holiday lunch at the Hart Park House, and Bethany School will be there to provide entertainment, and Nano's is going to cater it. and there'll be a raffle held, and candy canes will be given out as favors. The other announcement, real important one and exciting, is that the senior lunch program is back up and running. So I want to thank the senior commission and staff for getting that up and going. Lunch is going to be served at noon on Monday through Thursday, and if you request it on Thursday, you can take home a frozen meal for Friday at lunch. You must be 60 to participate, and if you're going to have a frozen meal, you need to let them know in advance. No reservations are required. It's a first come, first serve with a suggested donation of just $3. So it's a really great program. It's one of the great things about the community here, and I want to thank the Senior Commission for really pushing that forward and for staff for supporting it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Parkhurst. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you. I also attended the Women's Club Prayer Breakfast, and that's always such a great event, and that was a fun new venue where everyone could be in the same room, and there was just a lot more space to move around and chat. So I liked that. I hope their repairs to their house happen quickly, but it was a nice change of pace. I was not able to attend the Natural Resources Committee meeting, but they continued their discussion around a proposal around limiting gas-powered leaf blowers, as well as updating the wildlife plan. I attended a SCAG presentation on the regional transportation plan that they've been spending a lot of time on, and really it's very high level, and so it has limited sort of specific implications for our particular town, but just really interesting to see the priorities that they're placing on Metro and extending those lines, the train lines, as well as looking at surface traffic and all of the sort of myriad of transportation options throughout Southern California. I attended the Winter Wonderland festivities on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which as always was a great event. Lots of people, all of the shops in town raved about how busy they'd been all day, so that was amazing. The sledding has moved to the park, which seems to be a great addition, with the music playing and the kids able to slide down the hill in the park and Memorial Park and that. So just a great event overall, and I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So yes, I also did attend the Women's Club Prayer Breakfast, and it was nice. As much as we love the Essex House, it was nice to be able to be all in one room together at the lodge over on Sierra Madre Boulevard. It was a great event, and it was well attended.
Oh, I should amend it and say the quiche was amazing. Madam
It was.
City Clerk.
It was. And again, kudos to those that were able to pull that event together, I think in about a week's time. It wasn't on the calendar, and they were able to fill the room within a week, so that was great. On that same day, on November 16th, I attended the Los Angeles County Sanitation District meeting down by the 60 freeway and the 605, and really nothing to report there. They keep chugging along and turning our wastewater into energy and into other ways to reuse what goes through the sewer pipes. So they're doing a good job there, money well spent. Also on November 25th, I attended the Chambers Winter Village. Again, it was welcome to see the change down to Memorial Park with the sledding. I didn't know. I walked down it's BMO now, right? The bank. Sledding wasn't there, and I thought, oh no, my son's supposed to be here helping out, and I had to go walk down to the park, and I found the sledding, and it was very well attended. And it was nice to have the music and the extra booths, and seeing everybody spread throughout town was great. So kudos to the chamber for putting that together. Last Monday, not yesterday, but the Monday before, there was a library Board of Trustees meeting. I was unable to attend, but I am following up with Librarian Regan and Chair Palmer to get an update on what was stated. And finally, I just want to mention that I had received, I think, just over a half dozen phone calls from landlords who were surprised by their Athens bills, multi-occupancy landlords. So I have been in touch with our city manager, and management and staff have been in touch with Athens, and we will get to the bottom of this. We hear you, and we'll make sure that that is taken care of. And that concludes my report. Moving on to our public participation code of conduct. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we encourage you to make comments to the city council. We encourage you not to be disruptive to city business. Really, that's it. If I ask you to refrain from being disruptive, I will ask you one more time, and then I'll have to ask you to leave. But I think we have a pretty cheerful group here today. Moving on to public comment for items on the agenda. If you have not already, please fill out a yellow card that are available at the back of the room and bring them to Madam City Clerk. That is for items not on the agenda today, and we look forward to hearing your comments.
Mayor, if I may, for the library update tonight, Librarian Regan and Public Works Director Inez will be giving their update during public comment.
Okay, I did not see that on the agenda. That's why I found it important, but thank you. Madam City Clerk. Items not on the agenda.
Thank you, thank you. Our first speaker this evening, thank you, is Leslie Ziff.
Council. Thank you for letting me speak to you. I'm here to represent, of course, the Historical Society, or Hysterical as we call it. So this coming Saturday is our museum open house. And it's kind of a big thing for us because all of the city is invited. The members of the Historical Society and non-members. We want to make sure that people learn about our museums. The members, you're going to be able to meet the board, the Historical Society board. We will be there. You'll be able to see, we have a lot of additions to the museum. So a lot of collections that have been donated that we're trying to work into the space the limited space that we have. So we'll share some of those things. You're going to enjoy some holiday food and drinks. We will have a craft table for the children. We will, you'll be able to learn about some of the many programs that we do throughout the year and how you can volunteer to help and become part of the community. And all of this wonderful stuff is happening this Saturday. It is going to be Saturday, December 16th. The museums are open from 10 to 12, and then the open house is from 12 to 2. But basically, we'll be there from 10 to 2, okay? So you're welcome. You've actually been given individual invites with our cute little donkey on them. So I hope to see you there, and I hope to see everybody else that's watching there too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ziff.
Mr. Mayor, the second speaker card is from our city librarian, Layla Regan.
Hello, Mayor Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem Krebs, and our wonderful City Council. Happy holidays. I'm Layla Regan, your friendly neighborhood city librarian. Our goal was to open this week. However, we are still sorting through issues with communications and electrical, as well as staffing illnesses. Despite these delays, we would love to invite the public to sneak a peek of the temporary library next week. Wednesday, December 20th from 2 to 6 p.m. and Friday, December 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You are all invited to see the temporary library, meet with staff, and hopefully make a craft. We will not have the capabilities to check in or out items at these events, though we are hopeful that it might be possible. Public Wi-Fi and printing will also not be available at the temporary library just yet. This is the first time many of us have gone through this experience. It is a process, and we will expand services as we are capable. We have opened up our book drop at 440 West Sierra Madre Boulevard. If anyone in the community can't wait to return their library items, we ask you to please return them to the outside drop box at 440 West Sierra Madre Boulevard. And public and council alike are encouraged to email me any questions directly, lregan@cityofsierramadre.com. I'm going to hand it over real quickly to Arnulfo Yanez.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Arnulfo Yanez, Director of Public Works. A quick update regarding the library as of piggybacking on Librarian Reagan's comments regarding the electrical. As of this afternoon, there's been a slight change. Effective tomorrow morning, Public Works, along with electrician, will be working on site to bring that power up to speed. And that calls for bringing actual power amperage and installation of electrical breakers. I want to make sure that the electrical input is accurate, up to code, and making sure that we have no interference with any type of accidents, etc. So that takes into effect tomorrow morning. A quick update regarding the actual construction. I'm happy to say that the city has received about 50% of the preliminary design, the plans. These plans consist of elevations, construction materials, grading, materials being used, plumbing, etc. One key focus I would like to, again, focus on is making sure that we are in compliance with fire regulations. This is very important. It is a public building, so I want to make sure that we have the fire regulation codes and design first before we begin the layout of the rest of the building. Also happy to say that yesterday afternoon we went live with a request for qualifications proposal. It's out there. We are bringing in, hopefully we'll get a much better recruitment this time around to bring in on board a construction manager, for this project. That request for qualifications will close on January 11th of next year. Any questions?
No, thank you. I'm amazed you both got that out in basically 3 minutes, so.
Yes.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you for the update. We do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, our next speaker is Carol Canterbury.
Hi, Carol Canterbury, 46 Victoria Lane. I got here late, so I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but this Sunday we're having our candlelight walk, 6:15 up at St. Rita's. They'll have hot cocoa, and Paul Puccinelli will have his magical band. And then 7 o'clock they start going down the hill to Kirsten Court, and then that's where the different pastors and reverends will meet, and we'll continue on with our program. But that gets me to the next part. I was wondering, since 2024, and I've been doing this a long time, can we get a community calendar? Because like between all the school things, like I don't need to know open house for schools, but like, you know, there are fiestas, Good in School has, you know, summer program, you know, St. Rita's has summer, Bethany. And just to put things like Winter Village or Wisteria, the Candlelight Walk, there, and then there's quite a few other events, and they just sort of, so I've been here since '86, so everyone just sort of assumes everyone knows, and they don't. And I think people would like to know, and then maybe have a section for volunteering, because we need more volunteers, fresh ones, not tired ones. and a lot of us are getting, you know, we're at the end of the coffee cup, so. But anyway, so that was my idea for 2024. A community calendar. I'll help do it. I know a million years ago we started doing a meeting at lunchtime with Rosemary Garcia and all the different groups, organizations, and it just fell. It just didn't go anywhere. So that's my goal for 2024. All right.
Can I ask her a question?
Please.
Carol, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Are you asking us to help recruit volunteers for these?
Well, we always need volunteers for everything. Like I'm going to be using some kids that need hours putting up the no parking signs on Thursday afternoon. And then but it's just constant where we do need volunteers, or maybe someone else has new ideas, you know.
Or maybe like some kind of clearinghouse where we could.
Yeah, and they say, this
Somebody
is what
wants
I'm
to
good
volunteer,
at.
they could-
I'm good at doing wisteria. We need vine docents, and that's like eight every 2 hours, and that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's things like that, loading up the buses, just walking around at Winter Village, you know. I would have loved Christmas caroling, but they didn't show up. So it's like little things like that. It's like we can only, and then we're broke, but that's the other problem. But anyway, so that's my goal. But a community calendar and somehow suck in some more recruits. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Canterbury. City Manager Reynoso, if we could look into that, some kind of calendar, because I know that even for some of the organizations, they book their events on the same nights as other events that are going on, and that, you know, it hurts their attendance. So I think that could be another reason to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I did write that down. I think it's an excellent idea.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, we have no other speaker cards for items not on the agenda.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Our first presentation of the night, and if you've looked at the agenda, we have a couple of presentations, then we're going to go on with city business, and then we'll have a couple more presentations. But this first presentation is the Sierra Madre Rose Float Association in Royal Court. And who am I welcoming up here?
Mr. Mayor, I'm Evelyn Schaefer, the treasurer of the Rose Float Association. My erstwhile assistant is Hillary Maxwell, my daughter, and we are happy to present a photograph of our Founders Award-winning float from last year, Papa's Turn. So we'd like to present that to you and the City Council. We'd also like to thank you for all of your support throughout the years to the Sierra Madre Rose Float Association. And as Carol said, we're always looking for volunteers too. So if any of you would like to come volunteer, it's a great opportunity to help us with next year's Rose Float. Volunteer sign up is open now online, but you're welcome anytime to come and look at our progress. It's also my pleasure to present our 2024 Royal Court. Each of these lovely young women will introduce themselves, tell you about themselves, and tell you about next year's float. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Be nice to have another photo in City Hall. If you haven't seen them, it's a great collection.
Hello everyone, my name is Abigail Latruz. I'm 15 years old and I'm a proud student at California School of the Arts, San Gabriel Valley, where I'm in the Vocal Arts Conservatory. I come from a loving family, my mom, my dad, and my little brother, and I've lived in Sierra Madre for more than 14 years. I'm thrilled to be standing here today as a Sierra Madre Rose Float Princess, and it's a great honor that I don't take lightly. I believe I was chosen for this position because of my dedication to this wonderful community, and I'm eager to represent it with pride and grace. Some things that may surprise you is that I'm the lead singer of a rock band. I've been to 46 out of the 50 states, and earlier this year I directed a musical with my friend. I love to volunteer, and I'm involved in the Sierra Madre Interact Club, and through the Interact Club we have volunteered at the British Home, beautified the park, and decorated downtown Sierra Madre for the holidays. And as I look ahead to the future, my next step is most likely college, and I have an interest in aviation and astronomy, and I'm excited for the opportunities and experiences that await me. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today, and I look forward to representing Sierra Madre as a Rose Float Princess.
Thank you, Princess Abigail.
Hello, my name is Evan Clayton. I'm 15 years old, and I'm also a sophomore at California School of the Arts, San Gabriel Valley. I am a part of the Creative Writing Conservatory, and I am also a part of the school newspaper. I have cross-collaborated with other conservatories and have even gotten some of my work made into an animated piece before. I live at home with my mom, my dad, my younger sister Willow, and I have an older sister who is currently attending her third year of college in Boston. I love to cook for my family, read, write, and have been playing guitar for a little over 10 years now. My family and I moved here to Sierra Madre in 2012, and it has been the most welcoming community. One of my hobbies is crocheting, which my grandma tried to teach me when I was 8. I hated it, got frustrated, and didn't pick up a crochet hook for another 3 years. When I was 11, I found a baby blanket that my great-grandmother had made for me and looked up a YouTube video. I kept practicing and now make gifts for my friends and family each year, and I'm even able to show my grandma some new stitches from time to time. I applied to become a Rose Float Princess the first year I was eligible because I was really excited to become a part of the tradition I had seen growing up. When I was little, I saw it as an opportunity to wear a tiara and ride on the town's float, but now that I'm older, I get to appreciate all the hard work that so many put into this, and watching as people from around the world gather to see the amazing parade. When I'm older, I hope to work in education or closely in childhood development, which has been my dream since I was a little girl. I'm so grateful for this opportunity and really excited to experience it with a group of such great, hardworking people. Thank you.
Thank you, Princess Evan.
Hello, my name is Frances Farnham and I'm 15 years old. I also go to California School of the Arts and I'm in the Integrated Arts Conservatory, which is a mix of fine and performing arts. I have two very loud little brothers and we have lived in Sierra Madre for 7 years. I love living in Sierra Madre because everyone knows everyone and my family and I have contests as to who will recognize someone first when we go downtown. I am a Smurfa princess because I wanted to be able to represent our beautiful town and all the wonderful people living in it. Being able to give back to the city, which has given so much to me, would honestly be a dream come true. And I get to wear a shiny crown, so I'm currently working on restoring and converting a 1976 Porsche 914 to electric. I was able to buy it using the money I made from my grapefruit tree that I grew here, and I sold the grapefruit and I was able to make the money in order to buy the car. I just rebuilt the transaxle and repainted it, and it's going really, really good. My whole goal with this project has been to inspire other kids my age and younger that they don't need to be adults in order to create change in their world. My work has been featured on Forbes, NBC, CNBC, and Porsche Panorama. Volunteering is important to me and I enjoy doing it. I'm the Interact Club recruitment advisor here in Sierra Madre, where we volunteer throughout the community and develop skills we need on the road ahead. I spent a season as a junior docent at the Gamble House, where I gave elementary school students in PUSD tours of the house and its history. Throughout the last couple of years, I have earned 3 Presidential Service Awards. I plan to go to college. I'm not sure what for yet, but I know I want to study something with a creative aspect that allows me to go abroad. I'm so very excited to spend a wonderful 2024 season here with the Sierra Madre Rose Float Association.
Thank you, Princess Frances.
This year's Tournament of Roses parade theme is Celebrating a World of Music, the Universal Language. Alex Agajanian, tournament president, chose this theme to celebrate the way that music unifies and entertains all of us. The Sierra Madre Rose Float Association shares this belief and has created the 2024 float entitled Enchanted Music Box, in celebration of the nostalgic delight that comes from opening a magical music box. This will be Sierra Madre's 92nd float in the Rose Parade, and it was designed by husband and wife duo Robin and Richard Burrow. At 21 feet high, 17 feet wide, and 46 feet long, this float may represent the nostalgia of opening a tiny music box, but it is anything but that.
Did you know that music boxes have appeared in cultures from around the globe? They were first seen in the 1700s when watchmakers were inspired by the mechanisms of a bell tower. The music box persists today because it holds the music and memories that last a lifetime. The Sierra Madre Rose Float Association has endured because hundreds of volunteers come together every year to make their own kind of magic. We hope you will join us this month to make this vision a reality. Our float captures the moment just as this special music box is open for us to peek in. At the rear is a carousel where the horses will actually spin and move up and down. But this is no regular carousel. One of the horses has magically escaped and traveled all the way down to the nose of the float, looking out into the future and the parade route.
This float will also delight the senses with flowers, especially roses. Approximately 14,000 roses will fill the deck, but that's not all. Carnations and dry products will be used on the carousel top, and the base of the music box will have smilax, carnation petal designs, button mums, carnations, and yellow straw flower. Throughout the float, there will be floral arrangements that will include anthuriums, cymbidiums, dendronium florets, hydrangeas, chinamums, and agapanthus. So, music, flowers, magic. What else could we want as we ring in this New Year's Day? As one of the only 6 self-built floats left in the parade, we know we have an important role to play. Look for us riding on the float and join us on Parade Day, where we will be making memories to last a lifetime.
So all three of you are from the same school?
Yes.
Wow, CS Arts, wow, okay.
You guys will all be riding in spirit on the float because at the Winter Wonderland, you could donate and buy a vial and you could put someone's name on there. So I donated for each of you to ride on the float with your titles, and so they'll put the flowers in the vials during the decorating.
Thank you, Councilmember Lowe. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So Kirsten Court again.
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Thank you, Rose Court and the Rose Flow Association. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing it on January 1st. January 1st this year?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you. All right, next, we are going to honor Vincent Gonzalez in his retirement. I know Vincent is not here, but we do want to make sure that we honor him without him here. But do we have any dignitaries from Judy Chu's office or any other office here tonight?
Mayor, the dignitaries have submitted proclamations, and we will give those to Vincent.
Okay, well, the city is presenting Vincent with a proclamation. A lot of ink on it, it's pretty heavy here. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this in honor of Vincent. My glasses. Whereas Vincent began his public service role at the City of Glendale from February 1991 to July 1995, he served as a staff liaison to design review boards, conducted zoning administrator hearings, and prepared decision letters for variance and conditional use permits. His dedication led to a promotion to planner from July 1995 to June 2000 within the City of Glendale. Subsequently, Vincent joined the City of Pasadena as a senior planner from June 2000 to November 2006, where he earned a promotion to redevelopment project manager. In his capacity, he successfully managed the merger of 5 redevelopment project areas in North Pasadena, implemented the storefront improvement program in Northwest Pasadena, oversaw the preparation of the Lincoln Avenue specific plan, and monitored redevelopment projects and associated budgets in the assigned areas. Whereas Vincent ventured into a new role as Community Relations Manager with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority from April 2012 to April 2015, Vincent excelled in his project management and facilitating public involvement programs, ensuring compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and National Environmental Policy Act. Whereas the City of Sierra Madre welcomed Vincent on May 4th, 2015, appointing him as the Director of Planning and Community Preservation. Throughout his 8-year tenure with the Planning Department, he contributed to various significant projects, including the housing element update, the adaptive reuse of the former First Church of Christ scientist into moderate income housing units, the Highland Muse, the development of the 42-unit housing project, the Meadows of Bailey Canyon, and witnessing the revitalization of the initial homes in Stonegate, a 29-lot subdivision. After dedicating 33 years to the field and serving the City of Sierra Madre for 8 years, Vincent has chosen to retire from public service. Now, therefore, may it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Sierra Madre does hereby commend with great appreciation Director Vincent Gonzalez for his dedication and service to the community of Sierra Madre. Presented this 14th day of December, I think we put this together. Yeah, we were going to give it on the 14th day of November, 2023. By the City Council of the City of Sierra Madre, Mayor Edward Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem Kelly Krebs, Councilmember Jean Goss, Councilmember Christine Lowe, and Councilmember Parker. So if we could give a big round of applause for Vincent for his service to the city.
Mayor, Director Gonzalez, while he wishes that he could be here, he was unable to attend. He's not feeling well, but he did prepare a statement that he would like me to read. And to the community, to Mayor Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem Krebs, Council Members Goss, Lowe, and Parkhurst, I would like to thank you formally for announcing my retirement after 33 years in public service. It has been an incredible honor to work alongside so many devoted individuals during my tenure in Sierra Madre, and I am humbled to have played a small part in the success of this great town. I have been deeply impressed with the unwavering commitment of our staff, elected officials, and local leaders, and the collaborative spirit that drives all of us to achieve the very best for Sierra Madre. While parting ways is never easy, I eagerly look forward to the next chapter in my life, which includes continued travel, working on my home, and spending quality time at the Chevy Chase Country Club. I thank all of you for the incredible experience and the memories we've shared over the years. Sincerely, Vincent Gonzalez.
Thank you, City Manager Reynoso. Did you have some words there, Councilmember Parkhurst? I think you wanted.
I wish Vincent the best. I think it's been 2 meetings now he's been sick, so hopefully this is short-lived and that he returns to health and enjoys his retirement.
Yeah, we're grateful for Vincent's service. And, you know, I do want to mention that he was a great mentor and leader to the current staff. We were able to find an internal candidate, I think, because of Vincent's leadership. The individuals that work in that department, I think they're geniuses in their own right, and they would have probably been where they are anyhow. But I really do believe that Vincent does not gatekeep in his leadership. He is one that shepherds those underneath him to learn and be able to achieve high things. So we're looking forward to Planner Lynn and Planner Wolf and everybody else in the department continuing what Vincent has started. So we're really grateful for his service. All right. Anything else? All right.
I'm tempted to add to that.
Please.
Just a little bit.
Please.
I told Vincent a few months ago, I said I thought he was the toughest man in Sierra Madre. And I still feel that way because he was in the middle of the toughest issues in Sierra Madre, which are always development issues. And he was always unflappable and fair, and that was very difficult, very difficult. But he was a consummate professional in that regard, and always respected him for that and for other things. But tough guy, consummate public servant.
For sure. Second that. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our consent calendar. Madam City Clerk, can you please read the consent items by title only?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 3 resolutions on the consent calendar for City Council consideration. There are 2 sets of warrants. One is ratifying the payments that were made in the absence of the 2nd November meeting. It is consideration of Resolution 23-72, approving certain demands. The second resolution is for this evening's, and is Resolution 23-75, also approving certain demands. And the third resolution, 23-74, previously came to the City Council for consideration, but was pulled from the agenda to allow City staff to verify details contained within the resolution. Since then, City staff has verified the information and that is presented in tonight's resolution, and City staff is recommending approval of Resolution 2374, which adopts the terms and conditions of employment for executive management employees. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. I'd like to bring it back to the council for questions on items on consent. We had 2 warrants and also the consideration of Resolution 2374. Any questions on item A, the first set of warrants? Item B? Item C? Questions on item C? Second time in front of us. Okay, I'd like to bring it back to the public. Madam City Clerk, did we receive any comment cards for the consent calendar today?
We did not receive any emails or comment cards for this evening's on the consent calendar, sir.
Okay, back to the council for any comments. Kind of a short calendar relative to what we've been having. Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing, but this public hearing was noticed for 6:30. So I can't open the public hearing until 6:30. I don't know if the presentation will last 14 minutes. What's that?
Should we do the discussion item?
Yeah, if that's okay with the council, I'd like to move it to the first discussion item, item A. If that's okay with the council. I know we approved an agenda, but, okay, please.
Mayor, so we have Superintendent McGee who will be presenting, and we also have Habib Isaac from IB Consultant here.
Did we want to move to the first discussion item first? Is that what we wanted to do? Okay, it's
Yes,
also
the
me.
Sierra Keys water main replacement.
Also me. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. You will be seeing a lot of me tonight. Stephen McGee, Water Superintendent. I'm here to talk about the 2023-2024 water main replacement project. Staff is recommending City Council award a contract to Gentry Brothers, Inc. to replace main line on Sierra Keys Drive and Key Vista Drive. Staff solicited bids for this project and received 2 competitive bids. Gentry Brothers was the winning bid. We also solicited references for Gentry Brothers along with outgoing Director Semino's references as well. All came back positive. At this point, staff is recommending City Council award a construction contract to Gentry Brothers in the amount not to exceed $350,350 for the mainline replacement 2023-2024 Sierra Keys Key Vista Drive. I'll open it. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to, I have a question. So this isn't the entirety of our 2023-2024 water main replacement. That's correct. Is that correct?
So the question being, is it the entirety? No. We just recently completed the downtown sidewalk and street project, which a water main was involved in. The Utilities Department did participate $800,000 and change into that project. We budget about 1.213 for water main replacement. So this project would just be the remaining balance of that budget.
Great. So we had some extra money in the budget, and we were able to find a good use of that funds in a timely manner.
Yes, sir. Staff every year does take from the 2017 master plan. We do have several main lines that we've identified, and we do go accordingly based on that, and staff as well. My job is to go in and take a look at year by year what main lines need to be done. This project is not being done just to waste money. This is a necessary mainline project that needs to be replaced. It just so happens to fit the budget pretty much perfectly.
Thank you. Any more questions for Superintendent McGee?
Mr. Mayor?
Please, Mayor Pro Tem.
I think it's similar to the mayor's question, but just to sort of explain it for the council and for the public, you know, as you said, we have a plan and there is sort of an order of replacement. Putting this project after the Sierra Madre Boulevard project doesn't in any way impact sort of the next project in line, correct? I mean, we're still going to it doesn't bump other projects down the list, correct? Because this was an extra project being able to be funded by the extra money in the budget.
No, Mayor Pro Tem. This is as budget was remaining, we decided to go in and look and say we could leave the budget, or we could find a project that would fit that is necessary. Not something that's going to skip over a project that is necessary. It's just other projects would not remain inside the bounds of the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Parkhurst, please.
So we've got a bid here that we're gonna vote on tonight. From there, when will it be completed? How quickly can you do that, you know, with weather and all of that considering?
I'll speak only in my professional opinion. It's a fairly straightforward street, wide street. We do not have to replace the remaining main there. We can lay it down next to it. Wide streets, fairly straight. The ground, we've dug there many times, and I can tell you it's very alluvial. So the project, in my professional opinion, should go very smoothly. We're talking a month, maybe more.
Okay.
And I'm probably overdoing that.
Won't hold you to it, but that's helpful to know. Thank you,
sir.
Councilmember Lowe, please.
Since I'm the newest one here, when you plan out for which water mains will be replaced or what repairs have to be made to the streets and the sidewalks, when do you present that plan so we can tell the public when they can come in here?
That's a tricky question. Like I said, there is a master plan where I have 32 mains on that list, and just to tell you guys, out of those 32 I've done 20 of them. So we're moving along. There's 12 remaining on that. I will use that as a designation, but I will also use my crew as it where are we doing, how many leaks do we have on that street? How much manpower do I have to put into that street? How much flow? Well, main lines are different. Sometimes they're just a puddle and people see them and sometimes they flow. And this is an area where they flow. So I have to look at all these factors as I'm going into something and go, and then main lines go to sleep too. They do. They absolutely will be a problem, and from the point of view of the street owner, they are a problem, but I have to look back in the world and see what's actually flowing and what's going in. All those factors go into it. We do our due diligence and we find the best candidate at the time.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Superintendent McGee? Thank you. We'll see you shortly. Okay, I'd like to bring it to the public and open up this agenda item for public comment. Madam City Clerk, did we receive any cards?
We did, Mr. Mayor. Our speaker card this evening is from Mr. Philip Yao.
Hello, City Council. I'm at 513 Sierra Keys Drive, and I would like to confirm everything that he said. It is a very necessary repair. Neighbors' driveways have lifted. We've had over 2 dozen repairs, and doesn't even count the times of the repeats. And that's just between Fairview to the top Sierra Keys and then the artery Key Vista. So it's certainly something that I would advocate for, since, and also hearing that it is available budget, and let's try to make that, replacement as quick as we can. I really don't know what kind of damage below the all the asphalt that we're seeing. I just have to tell you that a neighbor has had one of the lines, tributary lines to the house, blew out during one of the repairs, and then my neighbor across the street has noticed a rise in his driveway, fairly substantial. So something is happening to our ground over there, and that's what I came down to kind of advocate. Thank you to Mr. Reynoso, City Manager Reynoso, who notified me that this thing is happening. I did notify the adjacent neighbors, but it was a fairly short notice. I'm sure that most of them would like to have come, but probably couldn't because of the short notice of this meeting. Not because of the city council meeting, but because I alerted them of this agenda item pretty late. Okay? So once again, you got support up there to try to get this thing done. There's just too much money wasted trying to patch this thing. And 2 dozen repairs, and if I were to say 25% of them have probably redos, you're talking about a lot of repairs. A lot of money's coming out of our city. Okay? All right, just a little quick go back since I have a minute left. Not on this subject, but on kind of a related item.
Yeah, is it related to this agenda
Yes,
item?
it's related to the neighborhood. We've gotten a number of neighbors now that have gotten cancellation of the homeowner's insurance. Okay? Now, if you want to look at the Athens situation, I'm talking about fairly significant increases. We're talking about several, several times at least the cost of homeowners insurance. It seems to have come along when the Meadows thing came along. I don't understand that. Maybe people are seeing a lot more timber in that area that's going to be flammable. Now we are classified west of Crestfield, west of Carter, we're now classified as fire. And as a result, some number of the neighbors have gotten their insurance canceled, and they have the pleasure of paying more for less coverage. Now, I'm lucky. This year I got my renewal just before that, but I suspect that I'm not going to be too lucky this coming year. So if you guys could take a look at it, that would be greatly helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yao, and thank you for bringing this water main to our attention some time ago. Any more speaker cards?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor, no more cards.
All right, bring it back to the council for discussion.
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
I've been aware of the problems up on Sierra Keys Drive for a long time. I lived up there for 14 years and left in 2009. I think from about 2004, 2003 through today, those leaks have been pretty prevalent. I remember them bubbling up. I was at the intersection of Key Vista and Syracuse. I remember them bubbling up all the time. Crew would be out there, they'd put it to bed, and then another few weeks would go by, it happened again. So this has been going on a long time, and I was up with City Manager Reynoso last week. We toured it, and all the holes and all the bumps look very familiar to me. I think everybody should understand, if they don't already, that we've been making a lot of progress on replacing water mains across the city, and we've done it with a triage method. So as bad as Syracuse Drive is, it just wasn't as bad as some of these others that we spent so many millions of dollars on. And so it is gratifying to me. This is a very small street, it's a very short street relative to some of the streets we've been doing, but it's very gratifying to me to see this finally get done for the residents up there. They've been very, very patient, as have residents in other parts of the city, and I thank them for that, and I'm just really excited to vote for this tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Goss. Any more comments?
I'll just say that I recognize and appreciate the serendipity of this. We don't often get extra money in the budget and a project that fits so well in that time frame that doesn't then impede the progress that we have planned out through our master plan. And to be able to put this in both in terms of timing as well as the budget is really great. And I appreciate staff's creativity and flexibility to do that sort of off plan and to really be responsive to the specific needs of our community. I think that's another thing to highlight, is that it's not often we're able to hear public comment and then within a couple of months really take action to address the concerns. Even though it has been going on for quite some time, we did get a concerted effort from the neighborhood to come in and tell us how bad it had gotten. So I just really think that's amazing, and I really want to commend our staff for being so responsive and figuring out a creative way within our budget to resolve the issue.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Took the words right out of my mouth. No, I do appreciate Mr. Yao and other individuals in his neighborhood for bringing that to our attention. I'm sure Public Works was aware of it, but as we've heard from Superintendent McGee, it's a triage situation. And just as we finish all the mains, I'm sure we're going to have to go back and replace the mains that we started with, as decades go by. So again, very happy that we were able to have this budget already available for this project, and hopefully it'll go quick. I know we're going to have some weather during this time, but hopefully we can get those residents back to normal soon. Okay, so any more comments before we entertain a motion? No? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the construction contract to Gentry Brothers in an amount not to exceed $350,350 for the 2023-24 water main replacement on the Sierra Keys line.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, what time is it?
6:30 on the
6:30.
dot.
All right.
Nice.
We did it. Thank you, Superintendent McGee. That was perfect. So I'd like to now bring the previous agenda item to the council, the tabulation of the Proposition 218 votes regarding the proposed changes to the water and wastewater utilities. And we have Superintendent McGee back for this presentation.
I lied to you. I told you I wasn't going to be doing this, but I am. Good evening again, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Management Analyst Carlson could not be here tonight, so I'm going to try to do him justice here. I apologize if I read. On September 26, 2023, the City Council directed staff to initiate the Proposition 218 notification process and complete the 2024 Comprehensive Water and Wastewater Cost of Service Study, based on the recommended proposed rates detailed in the September 26, 2023 Water Rate Workshop. Staff attained the consulting services of MBS Consulting to create and mail the Proposition 218 ballots to all eligible voters. On October 26, 2023, the ballots were mailed to all eligible voters. This evening's public hearing is the conclusion of this process. Once the public hearing is closed, the city clerk will count the ballots and determine the results. Staff has also attached the September 26, 2023 water and wastewater rate study implementation of the 218 process proclamation for background information. At this time, I would like to present Habib Isaac from IB Consulting, and he can give a brief presentation on the rates again.
Mr. Isaac?
Good evening, Mayor, honorable council members, the city manager, and the public. Habib Isaac with IB Consulting. I'm going to present a very brief summary of basically the report that's in front of you. And this is a paradigm version of the rates workshop that we did in September, but it's also still be thorough. So what I want to first go through is when we're looking at rates for a city or a water district, it's pretty thorough in terms of what we look at. It's almost like an audit that we go through. We look at the expenses of the utility enterprises. We go through every single line item. We talk about those line items with city staff. If there's different changes in costs from historical to the current budget year, we ask about those. Why did it increase? Why did it decrease? And if there's any one-time costs, things of that sort. We also look at the usage trends of your customers and the amount of flow that they generate on the sewer side in terms of equivalent dwelling units. And then we model, like a good example of that was fiscal year 23 was a very wet winter, a historical wet winter. So through this process of 12 months, we were always asking city staff, where are you year to date in sales? Where are you year to date? Because everybody's sales have been coming down. We want to make sure we're modeling that and what's really happening as opposed to what was budgeted a year ago. And then besides that, we also recalculate revenue. We take the raw billing data of your customers, and then we recreate the revenue, and then we compare it to your audit financial statements. So what that does is, one, if we want to be within 3% when it comes to water and within 1% with wastewater, because wastewater is mostly flat charges. And if we are, then that means we have all the baseline units of service, a solid foundation to do projections. If we're off right from the get-go, we drill down even further. And we drill down until we find out what's the discrepancy, why are we off? It could be we didn't get the full export, we're misinterpreting one of your rates, things of that sort, but we're dialed in on that part. And then one of the biggest items when it comes to utilities is capital. Utilities are very capital intensive, so we also looked at that. And I've been doing this is my third time doing your utility rates. The first time you definitely needed to increase your revenue just from having a deficit. The second time we refined the rate structure and built in a capital replacement surcharge. And this time around, we're continuing that. We upped it to 1.5 million. And one thing that I've noticed with my career is those agencies that address their capital needs are typically those that have very smooth rates every single year and modest adjustments. And that's going to show in this cycle as well. So I just want to give kudos to staff and the city council for implementing these rates from last time around. And then besides capital spending, there's also reserves. Reserves are also an expense that you have to think about. You need to have liquid cash for your daily operations. You should have enough funding in your capital replacement reserve to fund your current years of projects. So then you're not waiting on revenue to come in or unsure about doing a bid and rewarding a contract. So there's quite a few things that we look at when we're looking at utility rates. So I can go into the water enterprise. One thing that we wanted to show is your amount of sales and production. So you get you have groundwater, but what this is showing is your total sales when we count water loss, which has come down drastically over the two rate cycles. I think it was up to 20% when I first started, and now it's like around 10, I believe. So I think it'll probably even go lower after the main lines continue to get replaced. Your water sales and your water demand is around 2,200 acre feet. You have 940 acre feet of groundwater that's available to you. So that's not enough to cover your demand. So then you also need imported water that comes from the San Gabriel for that's MWD. But I'm also showing the joint well facility that's expected to come online in 2027. That's a joint facility with City of Arcadia. And then we're showing that then you're going to switch over to using the joint facility that long-term would be beneficial because now you have more control over your water sources versus whatever the MWD increases the rates at. So when we look at utility rates, we first look at your current position at your rates today. So that black trend line going across is your today's rates staying constant. And then the red trend line that has dashes, that's your operating expenses. This shows no capital spending whatsoever, just your daily operations. So the difference between your revenue and your expenses is your net income that gets to go towards capital spending and maintain healthy reserves. So as the one thing is you show it's declining, but that's because I'm keeping your rates flat. And because Prop 218, you're only able to have a rate schedule up to 5 years. So eventually this is going to happen where you're going to see expenses slowly creep up to a revenue that's staying constant. So it's almost like Prop 218 built it in that every 5 years you have to come back, you have to do a full report, be transparent to your customers, and show what costs are being incurred by utilities and ensure that it's not funding any other type of enterprise or the general fund. So now that we have your operating, then we look at your capital plan, and it's not uncommon where you have capital spending that then has some peaks and valleys, and based on just how projects are scheduled. And then at the end, we want to look at your reserves. You have very healthy reserves right now. The red trend line is your minimum reserve of how much you need for operating reserve, capital replacement, rate stabilization. And then the black dash line on top is your ideal target. So ultimately, this gives you a bandwidth of where you want your reserves to land. And you're pretty healthy right now, but part of that's also because if I go back one, there's these spikes that are coming up that were anticipated that then you're going to draw down these reserves when you use it for those capital spending. However, we don't want it to dip below your minimum reserve, so this is what we're going to make sure we resolve and continue to make sure it's healthy. So with the proposed financial plan, we increase revenue. Now that black trend line is sloping up. And then we have same capital plan, but then now we have smoothed out your reserve balances and they're over your minimums. And then to achieve this, as I mentioned, if you address your capital, you typically would have modest adjustments, and you're looking at 4%, 5%, and 3%. I gotta emphasize, this is unheard of in like the last 12 to 18 months. I work with agencies up and down the state of California, and the average is like 15%. We're seeing 20%, 25%, not just 1 year, but multiple years. So I want to commend City Council as well as staff for being able, even in this hyperinflationary climate, that's it's trending downward now, but you're still going to see it show up in these capital costs, that you're able to keep these low adjustments for this next rate cycle. And I think a big portion of this is, one, you're not dependent on debt, and two, you're cash funding and addressing your capital replacement. So with that amount of revenue that we need, we then show you need for 2024 7.4 million, and then I'm showing how that correlates to how much is recovered on your fixed side and how much is recovered on the variable side. So you're right around 50% fixed cost recovery, and we're keeping that intact. The only thing we are doing, though, as I mentioned, is we're upping that capital surcharge. It was like 1.2 million, and now it's 1.5 million. And then these are the new fixed charges. The base charges, this is without the capital surcharge, is essentially staying the same. Your 3/4 inch meter, that's where most of your customers have, or their connection size, and that's basically not changing, even with the 4% revenue adjustment. And then your capital surcharge, because we are increasing that a little bit, it is for the 3/4 inch meter increasing by $1.42. And then those that have bigger size meter, because they take more capacity in the system, they also pay a little bit more. And then this is the 5-year rate schedule for your fixed charges. This is the fully loaded rate. And here's the infrastructure charge. And I have 2027 grayed out because that's the year where you're switching your water supply. We also did a full cost of service analysis for that year, because with the change in your cost, we then felt it was appropriate to do a full cost of service in that year as well. And then on the variable side, what I'm showing here is essentially your water supply costs, where in 24 it's $1.98. That's for the imported water for tier 2. And then tier 2 in 2027 will be 289, switching over to the joint facility. It is a slightly higher cost, but that's just short term. In the long term, you're going to see that yours is going to stay fairly constant, where MWD is going to continue to increase. Also, we made an adjustment to your rate structure, where because you're adjudicated basin at 940 acre feet, we're subjecting all customers to 2 tiers. Every single customer account get their fair share of groundwater, which is up to 8 units of water. And then if you use that up, then tier 2, everyone's charged imported water. So it's very elegant. It ties to your urban water management plan. It ties to the adjudicated basin. So every time we come, we're trying to make it that much better. And also, the only differential between your tiered rates are the price of water supplies, which is the most defensible way to set tiered rates in California based on Prop 218. And then also showing your existing rates right on the right as well. And then here's your 5 years of the variable rates. And then I'm also showing some customer impact. This is for a 3/4 inch. So based on how much water you use, I'm showing a low user of 11 units, an average user of 15, which is the annual average of your customers, and a high user of 19, where that's your summer average. You'll notice the impact, though, is more than that 4%. And the reason for that is because when you guys went from bi-monthly to monthly, you guys you didn't reduce the tier width. So they're still gaining 14 units of water where it should have been 7. And staff decided that because we're working on a rate study and there's going to be changes, we want to just wait until all this occurs and then they'll make all those changes. If I was going to show what it would be if you already changed it to 7 units, you're supposed to cut that in half. It was like less than 1% impact to the low user and right around the 4%, which is the same as the revenue adjustment. Now with wastewater, I'll do the same thing. Here's your existing structure based on today's rates. Wastewater is a little bit thin when it comes to the operating position. So it shows that you'll be running a deficit starting in 2025. And then capital spending, the big uptick is for a new truck that is needed, a jetter truck. And then here's the reserves. You have healthy reserves right now, even above your target. So those are going to be drawn down. We're drawing those down. And then that's going to be able for us to smooth out the rates, but then also maintain healthy reserves in 27, 28. So it's almost the same thing as water, but wastewater has a little bit more of a gap that we have to resolve. So then with the proposed, we're increasing the revenue. We're just over the expenses. The reason why that still looks like it's lean is because you still have more of a healthy reserve in wastewater than in water in terms of the reserve requirement. So even this little bit of net income is going to be sufficient for the 5 years to keep you healthy. No change in capital. And then now we're drawing down the reserves. We're in that bandwidth. And then we're ending above the reserves in 2028. And this is 4% across the board each year. And then for the 5-year schedule, here it is. Residential is a flat charge every single month, just like it is today. So it's going up ever so slightly. Commercial, institutional, basically non-residential, gets a fixed charge. But their variable portion is a commodity rate that they have to pay besides their fixed charge. And that's more equitable for commercial because commercial customers could vary pretty drastically how much water they use that goes down the drain. So for it to be more equitable to your commercial customers, it's better to charge them a variable rate. So those that use more water that stays inside the unit that goes down drain, they're paying their pro rata share. Whereas think about like a storefront, clothing store versus a Starbucks versus a brewery. So that's why we have variable rates. And you have variable rates now as well. And then with that concludes my presentation. As I mentioned, I wanted to be fairly brief because this is the public hearing for your constituency to address the council directly. But if you have any questions for me, I'm more happy to answer those.
Thank you, Mr. Isaac. Bring back to council for questions. Anybody want to get started? Please.
Okay. So a question on the water demand side of things. I don't see a change, an increase in demand over time. You've had demand flat.
Yes.
So why did you keep demand flat? I expected we're gonna have an increase in demand over time because there'll be some increased housing in the city, so.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Did I show that on here, on one of the slides?
In a table.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There you go.
So, the reason why, because we're setting the ceiling on the notice rates, and we don't want to rely on proposed development to come online, that then you need that development come online to cover your revenue needs. And if it doesn't come online, then shame on us for putting you in that position, that now you have to go through this process again and say, oh, we messed up, our projections were a little bit too favorable. But we always do annual updates. So typically with our clients, we would then capture any units come online through the annual update, and then you might even be able to beat the notice rates. So that's why we do that. We don't want to rely on growth. The only time we do is if there's a specific plan and they have phases and they already pulled all their building permits for one phase, and then we'll include those, but we wouldn't include the rest of the phases. Here, you're more like infill type projects. I know you have like 42 units coming online, but we would rather just capture that when they do come online as opposed to expecting them to come online next year or the year after, and then they don't.
Got it. And the second, you had a peak in capital spending in the water in fiscal years 26 and 27.
Yes.
What's included in that? Yeah, so that's a significant increase. Do we have any detail of what we're thinking about with those?
Yes, and I apologize. I don't remember off the top of my head, but maybe Superintendent does. It's been a couple months since I've written the report.
Both Superintendent McGee are well aware, but I'll allow Superintendent McGee to answer the question.
Can you repeat the question, please, one more time?
So in fiscal 26, 27, we've got an increase in capital spending. Can you tell us a little bit about what is expected in that capital spending in those 2 years?
Well, there's a couple of things we're looking at. On the sewer side of it, we are trying to get a jetter truck. We are coming to the end of our life on our Sarico truck. It is a diesel truck, so there are state laws and issues with that.
Right.
And it is also from the early 90s. It is a truck that we need to have for the canyon area, so that is one. Plus, we do have the ideas for the capital improvement projects for the booster house as well. That's the idea going forward. Is the booster house is very overdue for a retrofit, as well as the generator that we're actually doing right now, and then we're in the process of that. But that's the big one. Is the booster house.
So in 26 and 27 on the water side, it's going to be redoing the booster house.
That is on.
We can get the water up up into the canyon, up into the higher parts in Sierra Madre.
Yes, sir. That is on the 5-year CIP project. So.
Great, thank you.
Supervisor McGee, Superintendent McGee, can you talk about the reservoir rehabilitations as well?
Yeah.
The reservoir rehabilitations?
Yes, sir. Also, we are looking at the Auburn Reservoir. It is a steel reservoir from the 1960s. We are looking at the fact that looking into the retrofitting, the earthquake fitting for it, but it is due also for a new retrofit to the reservoir as well.
Great, thank you.
Just piggybacking on that, so in 2027, that's when we expect the joint well with Arcadia to go online. Do we expect an increase in capital expenditures during that time as well?
I will defer that to City Manager Reynoso, as he was the principal on that project.
So all of the infrastructure for taking on water is already in place. That's something that I think it's been in place for about 10 or 15 years when we had the emergency connection with Arcadia. All of the costs have already been factored into the rate study for that 2027 year, so we don't anticipate any capital improvements to our system directly related to that joint well.
And then also on that same topic, when we're talking about the pump house, are we also talking about retrofitting the electrical system in there that's been in dire need, or is that something not contemplating in those years?
That is correct, Mayor. The electrical wiring, along with the booster house, has, I believe it's 3 boosters, so they're there for redundancy. So it would be, at a minimum, upgrading the 3 boosters and the electrical panels for that drive the boosters and walls.
Very good to hear, thank you.
It is also to speak to it. It is 3 boosters and also as well as some of the well. It's a lot of the electrical for a lot of the wells, 3 of the wells and the boosters as well. So.
Councilmember Parkhurst, did you have any more?
That's it.
Okay, Councilmember Lowe?
Prior to the studies that I've now been privy to and the workshop, thank you, that was, helps us all understand what these rates are. Could you tell us what the leak amount was, the amount of leaks we had in the city of Sierra Madre before we really implemented these plans and an annual update?
Well, prior to 2015, our leaks were 50 annually. I will speak to 50 annually, 50 annually. Due to, and we can kind of speculate what it could have been. There was a spike at 2015, and we started increasing to where we are seeing 450 annually now. I don't believe it had to do with the water changeover that we had in 2013. I believe it had nothing to do with the water. It had everything to do with the temperature of the water that was in there. It was a little warmer coming in. Our wells are 50 degrees when we come out of the ground. It was more like 65, 70 degrees. So we can speculate, but the spike was from 50 annually when I first started working here to 450 leaks. So quite a spike.
And what are we at now?
How many altogether or per year?
Per year.
So per year, I will say this, my foreman just related to me that we're about 98 shy of last year, which we did 460. So we're hopefully underneath 400 this year.
What I was asking is basically, since we do put so much into our capital expenses, redoing our mains like we talked about in the previous agenda item, have we seen a decrease in repairs? Have we seen, as our infrastructure increased, have we seen less leaks across the city? Are we losing less water is what I should be asking.
Yes. Are we losing less water? Yes. We are repairing, so not the repairs that we're doing as a staff, the repairs that we're doing on the main lines. That's what's doing it. We're doing a Band-Aid. They're doing, surgery. So yes, we are seeing it. Plus, we had a very nice year last year.
I like that analogy.
Councilmember Lowe, if I may add to Superintendent McGee's statement, we were at about 30% water loss in 2017. We replace over a mile of pipe every year since then, a couple of years a little bit more, and we've seen the water loss numbers drop to just about 10%. We're hopeful that we'll be in single digits in the next couple of years. The leak frequency when I first came here, I remember it was a leak a week, and in the industry, a leak a week, you're making a ton of overtime because you get to work on a leak every week, and I thought a leak a week was a lot of leaks, and then we went from a leak a week to a leak or two a day, and we did that, and this crew sustained that since 2014, 2015, and this is the first year, as Superintendent McGee stated, that we're almost at 100 less leaks per year. So we've seen a substantial decrease in water loss, and we're now starting to see that the 7 miles or so of pipe that we've replaced are starting to reduce the number of leaks and the repeat of repairing leaks. And a lot of times what happens is the water mains are in such bad condition, the crew will repair the water main, but because they disturb the area right near that water main, a couple of days later we'll get a pinhole leak and a new leak will surface, and it becomes like a chain event where you just have leak after leak after leak because you're repairing and the water mains are in such bad condition. So
good analogy.
I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So we went from 14 to 10, is that right? Leak rate?
From so the leak frequency's been reduced by about 100. So
yeah, but the loss rate. You said we were
from 30% water loss.
30%. Sorry, thank you.
Just about 10% now.
And we'll have overtime hours for all the work that our public works had to do.
Any more questions? Councilmember Goss, do you have any? Maybe. I have a few, but
I'm just musing here because I feel like we've already put this to bed in a prior meeting, but
yeah,
even if it's only 400 repairs, it's still a drag on our department. It's a kind of a waste of all that labor. It just seems like if we could do it, we should be somewhat more aggressive in terms of our water main replacement. We've had that conversation in our subcommittee, and I was told, and I understand the argument that, well, we can only handle so much in the city because of the size of our staff and all the rest of it, and maybe our residents wouldn't put up with a lot of streets being down, but it seems to me that if we're serious about, making a real dent in repairs and getting that water down from, 10 or 11% down to the industry standard of about 7%, I think we should think about it. I think from what I understand, from what I follow you in previous presentations, we're headed in that direction with these water rates. So what I'm saying is, should we consider kicking it up a little bit more? And if there's a curve there, do we have any way of analyzing that to know what the advantage would be or disadvantage would be financially for doing that?
And would that be a question for our later meeting?
I think that's a pretty hefty analysis. I don't think we can answer that here tonight.
I know it's not, that's probably another water rate study.
Well, then correct me if I'm wrong, my assumption would be that these rates would go up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Mayor and council, and I can elaborate a little bit. So we did our water system master plan in 2017. It's a 5-year plan that identified the 32 water mains. So we're up for another water system master plan. It's going to help identify what the next water main priorities are going to be. And we're going to get a lot of information from that. We'll continue to work on the remaining 12. Obviously, that list gets reprioritized every year based on consequence of failure and a bunch of other criteria. But with the new water system master plan, we have enough work to get us through this water rate study. We'll have enough information to help craft the next water rates, and we'll see where we're at with water loss at that time. But I think we're in a really good position to get into that single digits of water loss, continue to make progress, and then with the new water system master plan, be in a good position for our next water rate study to see how much revenue is going to be needed to not just advance water mains, but to address our wells and our boosters and our remaining reservoirs, basically all of our infrastructure.
And possibly a drop in repairs.
Oh, yeah, we're already seeing that, and we hope that trend continues.
Mayor Pro Tem, anything? No. I just have a couple. Hopefully, I'll try to make them quick. Can you explain to me, when I'm looking at the infrastructure charge, this might be a question for Mr. Isaac, but what is capacity ratio? How is that calculated?
I'll let Mr. Isaac pencil that, yeah.
I'm looking, it's all over the place. I'm looking at page 41.
Yeah, no problem, absolutely. So capacity ratios is really a reflection of turning all the big size meters to your base meter 3/4 based on the gallons per minute that could flow through the meter. So a 3/4 inch meter is 30 gallons per minute. A 1 inch meter, for example, is 50. So then that difference is 1.6, and then that's the additional amount that a 1 inch meter has to pay, or they're 1 plus 2/3 of a 3/4 inch meter. So we're basically making all meters equivalent to a 3/4 inch meter.
Thank you. And because as you look at the infrastructure surcharge, you're seeing, I know there's only 1 meter in town that's 4 inches, but you're seeing $494.55, and you might gasp.
Right.
But that's equivalent to 21 3/4 inch meters.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
if you divide it by 21, you actually get this 23.55,
yes,
which is the same number.
Exactly. And when they came online, they pay capacity fees based on the capacity they're taking in the system, based on the size of their meter. So it also correlates to that.
Okay, so it's almost like 21 households in one,
yes,
with the 4 inch meter.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
understand. So it's a fair share type
Yes.
of analysis. Okay. This might be a question for city manager, but has it been your experience, and I'm thinking, well, what if this rate doesn't pass? So has it been your experience that costs of replacing mainline stay the same, increase, or decrease through time?
Mayor, the cost of replacing water mains increases every year. Tends to follow the CPI. Obviously, the last couple of years with hyperinflation, we've seen, traditionally we would replace 1 mile of pipe with $1 million. Over the last couple of years, it's been more like $1.3 to $1.5 million per mile, depending on the size and the number of meters and services. While we've seen the prices come down, we haven't seen them come down to that $1 million per mile. We anticipate it's still going to be in that $1.2 to $1.4 million, and the prices will probably continue to go up over time.
And so if this rate for especially the infrastructure charge portion doesn't get increased, in your professional opinion, can we continue to replace 1 mile of main per year?
Without the water rate increases, we will not be able to do 1 mile per year. And really, to have a meaningful water main replacement or to look at so we look at different zones. And so it may be a situation where this area of town is 1.2 miles and it doesn't make sense to break it up into 2 projects. We may have to hold off and do that project, not do a water main project 1 year so that we can build enough money to do that complete water main project. So we're not disturbing that neighborhood twice in the same area. Without the water rate increases, will we be able to continue to water main replacements? Yes, but not at the current level, and probably there'll be some years where we're not having any type of infrastructure investment.
So we'd have to continue 1 mile, we'd essentially have to borrow from or take from our general fund, which is already at a balanced budget anyway, and there's no excess in the budget for that anyhow.
It's very challenging to take money from the general fund for enterprise fund. We would have to dip into water reserves initially, and that would generate another concern.
Thank you. Did you have?
Yeah, may I piggyback on that? Also, we are indexing your capital in future years based on the construction cost index. So it's that we're using 3.9%. So the cost that we receive from the city on that, we're also increasing that each year based on how many years it's away from today. And then also because on the
Is that producer price index, or what are you basing that on?
Engineers News Record construction cost index. That's more.
And that's like a 30-year history, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have all the way from 1910, but we're using the last 5-year average.
5-year average. Okay.
Yes, and also in that rate schedule of the infrastructure, you'll notice that the infrastructure surcharge is increasing. So by 2028, that 1.5 million ends up being 1.7 million.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any more questions. All right, thank you. Thank you. Very, very informative, and nice to see you again. I know we heard a lot of that just a couple months ago. Anything to wrap up, Superintendent?
So, based on our water rate workshop and the mailing of the, if determined by the city clerk, results of there's less than 50% plus 1 of eligible voters voting no, the city council may approve the changes to the water and the wastewater utilities.
Thank you, Superintendent McGee. Thank you for stepping in on this presentation. I appreciate it. Okay, with that, let's open the public hearing and open this up to public comment. Madam City Clerk, do we have any comment cards?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do. Thank you. We have 2 cards presently. The first speaker is Tom Love.
Thank you, Mayor Garcia, members of the council. Tom Love, 201 Monte Vista Lane, resident of Sierra Madre for over 25 years. But also, for the last 4 years of my life, my career has been water resource management and water infrastructure engineering. So I've got a little bit of expertise in this topic. I'm pleased to see the city considering moving forward with implementing the results of this rate study. I do recall around 2015, it was very painful. This hearing, similar hearing, in fact, I think it was a workshop town hall over at the senior center, was packed with people, and that was difficult. It was challenging, but the city council acted. They implemented the rate changes, and they've been able to successfully replace the infrastructure that needed to be replaced over those years. And so to see that, and you see it going forward, it's much less painful, I think, to continue to do this, but it needs to be kept up, because those pipes that, you know, aren't in triage, they can wait in the waiting room a little longer. They're not getting any younger. They're not getting in better shape. So this is kind of a continual effort for utilities and water utilities in particular. I do want to say something about the joint well project. It is very important that project gets done. You know, I was surprised to see it wasn't until 2027. The exchange agreement with the Metropolitan Water District and the San Gabriel Valley Municipal Water District, that was in 2013, is actually a 2-for-1 exchange. For acre-foot of water delivered from Metropolitan, the San Gabriel District owes Metropolitan 2 acre-feet of water. In 2020 and 2021, the San Gabriel District, because the state project allocation was only 5%, could not pay Metropolitan back for that water, and Metropolitan was enforcing mandatory rationing on 6 of their member agencies in 2022. And so the importance of shifting off of that dependence on Metropolitan, Sierra Madre is not in Metropolitan service area, is very important. So I'm glad to hear Jose, City Manager Reynoso, when he's in the running water, I call him Jose, that funding has already been incorporated in there, and certainly support the City Council's action to approve the rate increases as presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Love.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Vic Aguilar.
Evening, Mayor, Council, wise and kind people of Sierra Madre. Perhaps this is too little too late in terms of the timing of this comment that I'm serving up to you guys, but I just want to speak directly to the rate structure. This is something that I've talked briefly about before, but I do want to, I'm glad that we have an opportunity to speak to the people that are actually behind some of the design of it, because again, I'm bringing up this whole issue of a profoundly regressive aspect of the rate design as currently proposed. I found out, again, the story is, in a nutshell, I never used to look at my water bill. A pandemic came, all of a sudden I started to take the big microscope on all of my expenses, and I came to realize that my water bill was very commonly more than all my other utility bills combined. Now, let me put some context to that. I went months below the first incremental register of water consumption. So I have many months of my bill that are under 750 gallons, so it shows zero usage. Yet I'm paying this substantial amount. And it turns out that it is an infrastructure element of the bill. Now, we know how to finance infrastructure in a fair manner. I hazard to guess that pretty much everybody in this room drives. And when you pay your car registration, part of that expense, part of it is the usage represented as gross weight of the vehicle. Part of it's the value of the vehicle. It's a proxy for income, the rough proxy that they use. And then part of it is infrastructure. And it is prorated. Okay, and that means that I pay $200 and something for my 2016 Spark, Chevy Spark EV, and maybe somebody else might pay 5 or 6 orders of magnitude for a brand new, you know, whatever, expensive vehicle. And this is pretty small potatoes. This is a wealthy community. There's not that many people who are actually using as much water as we are. But the thing is that we're also looking at other aspects of rate design, and part of that would be programmatic objectives, overarching programmatic objectives, and one of which would be encouraging less consumption, not discouraging and not penalizing people who are using less. And again, you know, I'm talking to my neighbors, we're comparing
Mr. Aguilar,
usages.
I believe your 3 minutes is up.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, there are no other speaker cards, nor did the city clerk's office receive any email.
We have one more speaker. The public hearing is still open. One more card coming down.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
My name is Beth Copty, and I'm the homeowner of 349 North Lima Street. I've owned the home since 2004, and over the years, there have been numerous rate increases to our water bills, in addition to the UUT tax charges, and most notably, the water access infrastructure charges to pay for apparently the underground pipe repairs and water tank building. There's very little clarity as far as I'm concerned, and I do read things, as far as when these repairs have been completed or how many more repairs are needed. And the citizens of Sierra Madre have already funded 2 or more of these holding tanks for rainwater and runoff water. There was a budget surplus recently, and if that's the case, why weren't the monies in the budget surplus paid towards the infrastructure repairs? The proposed new rate changes are usurious. Who determines what and how much is a healthy reserve of funds? And why don't we have a healthy reserve of funds when we've been paying the UUT taxes for over 10 to 15 years? And now that these bills are monthly, the city is collecting the fees each month instead of every other month. These fees should have been divided in half. Did the independent rate consultant consider that homeowners with a disability and or a fixed income cannot keep up with the pace of a utility increase, whether it's the water bill, the trash bills, the gas, the electricity, the internet, and especially those that occurred in 2023 and will continue to increase, and we have no say in that. These utilities are vital to being a homeowner, and they are not negotiable. And furthermore, I just don't understand. Do you think that just because we're living in this fine little city where our property values have skyrocketed, that makes us all millionaires? I've lived here 33 years. I cannot afford this. Is what you're asking of us to go ahead and keep taking it on, just taking it on every single time you feel like you need a rate increase, and then the people who really cannot afford it or they're having real struggles, well, just leave. Leave where? Where would you like me to go? Because I can't continue to live in Southern California based on these usurious rate increase proposals. I cannot agree to the increased rate proposal for the following reasons. The water base rate will increase by 10% by year 5.
Ms. Copty, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you. Any more public comment, testimony?
There are no other speaker cards, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's officially close the public hearing, and last chance for ballots. Okay, the public hearing is now officially closed. And you have ballots with you? Okay. Let's bring it back to the council for discussion. Yeah, and I want to authorize a count as well. So we'll discuss while the count's going on.
Yes, and the city clerk's office is prepared also.
All right, thank you. All right, council.
Well, I'll start. I mean, the water rate study is there for a very simple reason. The cost of doing business keeps going up, just like my cost of doing business as a family, as a member of my family, keeps going up. Just because we're a government doesn't mean we don't face cost increases. And one of the costs we're facing is the fact that previous councils for decades, maybe 50 years or longer, simply neglected their responsibilities. They did not keep up with the infrastructure. They did not replace pipes in the ground when they should have. That was the easy thing to do, because that means they spent they taxed the people less than what the people should have been paying in terms of water rates. That's easy for politicians to tell people something that they want to hear, but the truth is water mains are expensive, and we are 100 years behind we're way behind the 8 ball on this. Now we have caught up. We haven't caught up, but we're getting there. We've done really well since 2017, and I think that this water rate study will give us the kind of trajectory where our water loss will be better, and ultimately our operating costs will start to level off and start to drop at some point. And then hopefully we can recoup some kind of benefit in water rates in the future. But in the short term, it seems to me that the responsible thing to do as public servants is to make sure that the water system our city depends on is up to speed, up to the task. And I think this water rate study accomplishes that.
Thank you.
Just to be fair too, as I was analyzing the numbers, and it's a lot of information, so it's nice that we've already had another reading and another presentation on the water study as well as the presentation tonight. And I hope everyone can watch the recording and really understand like exactly where these numbers are coming from and why they're applied to this. And if you look at it, for the majority of our residents have a 3/4 inch meter and pipeline, and the increase for this next year will be 1 penny, and then the increase for 2025 will be less than $2. And so by 2028, the increase will be $4.70 or so. So I think that, and looking at all the other cities that we talked about, they're seeing 15% increases. So I think this is such a great job that we actually can keep it down for our public, because all of us are seeing the cost of living like increasing dramatically. Christmas time, I'm looking at the bills and I'm looking at what we used to be able to spend. It's just not there anymore because of all of these huge increases in cost of living. And so I actually appreciate that this is so much less than other cities, so much less than it could be. And I value that I came into a council that, and staff and council, especially, thank you, City Manager Reynoso, with all your expertise, that we are able to keep these at my opinion, at a less of an increase and a reasonable rate all the way around.
Thank you, Councilmember Lowe.
I'll just, go ahead.
No, please go.
I'll just echo what Councilmember Lowe said. I mean, considering that in many places the increases are double digits, above 10%, or 15 is what I heard. The fact that we're able to keep it less than half than 10%, 4 and 5 and 3% over time. And as Councilmember Goss said, costs do continue to go up over time. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the economy we have. I think that this is a reasonable approach, and I think that the charges that we've got will help us continue to reduce the number of leaks and make sure we've got high quality water for our residents.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, the process under which we consider rate increases. Now, maybe it is the case that other utilities do the same thing and I'm not paying nearly as much attention, but I suspect not. And we've had 2 meetings like this where we've had detailed presentations. We had a community workshop. I mean, the level of transparency and community, the ability for the community to participate and provide feedback in terms of our rate study has been, in my mind, at least when I'm paying attention, unprecedented, and we do this every 5 years. And so I do completely understand the frustration in all of our bills going up. And appreciate Councilmember Goss's point that costs are going up for the city too, and we can't just absorb that. We don't have the revenue sources just to absorb extra costs. Much like businesses, we have to pass some of that on to our customers, our constituents, our citizens. And I just feel like we've done an extraordinary job making sure that we are not passing more than absolutely necessary on, because of, for a variety of reasons, including not putting too much of a burden on our citizenry. So, I'm very sympathetic to the costs going up all over the place. I do feel like this has been a very open and fair process, and to the prior points, the result has been a moderate increase that will allow us to continue our relatively aggressive replacement program, which I think is necessary not only to recoup costs over time, but just keep our system functional. I mean, I think our number one job here as a council is to maintain basic services, and what's more basic than water. So I think we have been put in a tough spot as this council, as Councilmember Goss pointed, that cleaning up the mess of prior decades of leadership that really failed in this area. And I think it's great, frankly, that we haven't been required to implement double-digit rate increases study after study to make up for that those decades of neglect. I mean, that's really amazing as well, just from a financial perspective. So, I know that was a long way of saying I think that this has been a fair process, and I support the outcome if the votes support that from the community.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, and as we're elected to sit up here and read all the fine print. And I know that the five of us do that. And as we see in some of the testimony that we heard and we were talking about in questions, we hear regressive taxes and things of that nature. When I sat here and said, well, the infrastructure charge on a 4-inch pipe is $455, right? Rather $23 for a 3/4-inch pipe. So if you drive your car and you pay your fee, if you drive at a mile and it's registered, you drive at 100,000 miles and it's registered, you still have to pay that same fee for the weight of the car. So I think the structure is similar to the structure that was spoken about earlier, because it is as the mains get bigger and there's more capacity, the tax gets higher. As far as the UUT is concerned, that is on the commodity, and it doesn't matter if that percentage is on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, or on a yearly basis. It doesn't change the amount. So we know that, right? It's just simple math. And it's kind of going off of what everybody else is saying. Yeah, we're looking at 4%, 4%, 4%, 5%, 3% increases. On top of already what some people would say high rates, but we do have a smoothed out function here relative to other cities that don't have a capital infrastructure charge. And it's nice to be able to expect this. We don't have contracts with our residents saying we're going to increase it by CPI every year, right? That's not the way this process works. This process has to assume what it's going to be in the future and provide that rate study going forward. So that's a little bit different than commercial contracts when we're talking about taxing the public. So this is a very transparent process. I do encourage everyone to watch the last meeting that this was presented, watch this whole meeting, and even read the water rate study to have an understanding of everything that went into it. So with that, hopefully we have a count, and we can hear from the city clerk's office what the count is.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The ballot tabulation for the Proposition 218 to increase water and wastewater utilities is complete. City clerk's office did not receive protest ballots from 50% or +1 of the eligible voters.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Okay, let's bring it back to the council. There was not a majority vote. Do we have a motion? Nobody's ready?
I make a motion that we follow the recommendation of City Council of the public, sorry, let me restate that. I make a motion that we move forward and accept the tabulation of proposed 218 votes regarding the proposed changes to the water and wastewater utilities, and that we, do I have to make a motion to also approve the water rate increase? And then also to approve the water and wastewater utilities rate increase.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Carries unanimously. Thank you.
I didn't know if we had to do those separately.
I think it's one motion.
Okay.
Yeah, it's related. Thank you. Okay, moving on the agenda, as I have my agenda buried here. Back to presentations. The first presentation is the recognition of service to Mayor Pro Tempore Kelly Creeps.
Fancy version.
Yeah, I said the fancy version. It's on the plaque here. So she gets a small gavel after a year of service.
But it's a full.
Small unused.
But it is a full gavel. It used to be, I think it used to be a half gavel. So she gets a full gavel, but it's a small gavel. I just want to say I appreciate you in support of my role as the mayor over the past year. You did sit in when I was at a meeting telephonically, and you presided over the meeting. Thank you for that. But more importantly, I say thank you for being there on, just as a sounding board on when we're talking about policy and things of that nature. Because the Brown Act, we can't all get together and talk, but when there's a mayor and mayor pro tem, we want to make sure that the mayor pro tem is up to date on everything. So we do spend a lot of time discussing policy, agendas, what's going forward on the next meeting or even in future meetings. So I'd also like to say that the city of Sierra Madre is immensely fortunate to have you sitting on this council. With your intellect, the way you look at problems is different than the way I look at problems, so I think we complement each other well. You have that lawyer logic, and I have that economist cynicism. So I think we made a good team this year. So again, I from the bottom of my heart, as a resident, I am grateful that you are on this council, and I'm grateful that you served us faithfully as the mayor pro tem. So
Thank you.
with that, congratulations and thank you.
Mayor, we do have representatives from Congresswoman Judy Chu's office and from Assemblymember Holden's office here.
Right. For Mayor Pro Tem or? Okay. Who would like to come up first? Please, come on up. You're.
Combine them.
Hello, hello. Is it okay if I do both at the same time?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, it is an honor to be here today. We are kind of in the same boat because you all have completed a year of service, and I have been here in California working with Assemblymember Holden's office for a year. So I suppose my job as a field representative for Sierra Madre has been so pleasant because you all have done such a great job in your roles. So it is my honor to be here today to present you, Mayor Garcia and Mayor Pro Tem Creeves, with certificates of recognition honoring your outstanding and dedicated service to the city of Sierra Madre and wishing you well in your future endeavors. So, I don't have a mini gavel, but I do think that the gold seal is pretty cool. So, it is my honor to be here on behalf of Assemblymember Holden in the 41st District to present you both with these.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Miley Plan from Congresswoman Judy Chu's office, and it is always a pleasure to come to Sierra Madre. You guys make the city so beautiful and so great to be in. But really, thank you for your leadership, both Mayor Pro Tempore as well as Mayor, for everything that you've done. It's a lot of work to be a leader, so we definitely appreciate your hard work and your commitment to making Sierra Madre really one of the best places to live. So thank you, and on behalf of the 28th Congressional District and Congresswoman Judy Chu, I'd like to present certificates of congressional recognition to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Capitol buildings on that one, that's kind of cool. And before we move on, I do want to present you with the City of Sierra Madre certificate as well for dedicated service as Mayor Pro Tempore of the City of Sierra Madre. The City Council of the City of Sierra Madre extends their thanks and appreciation for your leadership and care of the community.
Thank you. Lots of certificates. want to move on?
I think so, yeah, I guess it's still my agenda, right,
Switching
so, yeah.
spots. So, I am tasked with the monumental task of thanking Mayor Garcia for his service. I mean, his dedicated and effective service, particularly this last year as mayor, but also the year he spent as mayor pro tem and a year as council member. He's really done an amazing job over 3 years, and we look forward to another year of service. You know, Ed added mayor to the long list of titles he's collected over a decade of serving our city. He was chairperson of the Community Foundation, the Special Revenue Committee for the city, the UUT campaign. He was a committee member of the UUT Oversight Committee. He's a Little League manager and coach, which is my favorite title, and scout leader. You know, as mayor, he took his responsibilities seriously. He takes calls from citizens, as he even mentioned tonight. He's always proactively addressing city concerns that he identifies and other citizens bring to his attention. He's always prepared and diving deep into the issues at hand, especially from an economic viewpoint, as he mentioned earlier. I know I'm not alone in saying that his questions and commentary and observations, particularly about the budget, city employee compensation and benefits, particularly his laser focus on the PERS process, just to name a few, help the council and the community understand the importance and the fiscal impact of the decisions that we make. He runs an efficient and fair meeting, as we've seen tonight and throughout the year. He really has a talent for listening to everyone, the staff, fellow council members, and particularly the community. And you can tell he's really listening. He's a very active listener. I'm so glad that I've been able to learn and grow into this role alongside Mayor Garcia from the beginning, and I was excited to spend this last year seeing him effect and carry out the role as mayor. I'm proud to call him, I was proud to call him our mayor, and I'm happy to call him my friend. So congrats to Mayor Garcia on a fantastic term in office. And I have 400 things to to present to you as well. So you get a full detachable gavel. Your family's super excited about that.
Thank you.
Comes in handy.
And the certificate similarly for dedicated service as mayor of the city of Sierra Madre. The City Council of the City of Sierra Madre extends their thanks and appreciation for your leadership and care of our community. Presented this 12th day of December 2023 by the Sierra Madre City Council, Mayor Pro Tem, just Tem, Kelly Krebs, and Council members Jean Goss, Christine Lowe, and Robert Parkhurst.
Thank you, thank you.
In addition to our representatives, I am apparently the representative for Anthony Portantino's office tonight, and he would like to say, on behalf of the California State Senate, Anthony Portantino, join the City of Sierra Madre in thanking you for your outstanding service as mayor. Your background as a respected economist has made fiscal responsibility a key focus of your leadership, and your work as a steward of local resources is truly commendable. I am honored to recognize you for your selfless commitment to our village of the foothills, and look forward to your continued service to this great city. Best wishes on all future endeavors. So that's from the California State Senate, our senator of the 25th District. And then I think I also have, I think that's it, actually. Is there one more? I think that's it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Too many things in front of me.
Thank you, yes.
Mayor, if I may add, Supervisor Barker also would like to congratulate both of you for your leadership, and they have sent their certificates of recognition, and if they're not at the front counter, we'll get them to you as soon as they arrive.
Thank you, City Manager Reynoso. I just want to thank the community for letting me be at the helm for the past year. It's been a good year. It's been a year of progress for the City of Sierra Madre. We had a lot of capital infrastructure projects, as to your point, Council Member and former Mayor Goss. We kind of inherited this issue of a lot of infrastructure that was in disrepair and a lot of deferred maintenance. So I think we had a great year on that front. And I also want to thank you. You were the mayor when I was Mayor Pro Tem. You helped me see I like to look long term, but I have to remember that we're living here in the short term, and so are our residents. So we want to make sure not only are we considering that long term, but we're also considering the short term as well. So thank you for that perspective. Again, it's been an honor, and it'll be nice to have a little bit of time back relative to what have been doing the past year. So with that, I'd like to move on to our last agenda item, which is a discussion. It is the City Council selection of mayor and mayor pro tem. Is there a presentation?
Mr. Mayor, there is an agenda report that was part of the packet.
Yes.
The city staff is recommending that the City Council this evening select a mayor and mayor pro tem tempore to serve for the period beginning December 12, 2023 and concluding on December 10, 2024. These appointments will directly impact the city's liaisons to the Los Angeles County Sanitation District as well as the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, as these roles are primarily voting delegates, as the mayor is the voting delegate for these two roles, and the mayor pro tem is the alternate voting delegate. And with that, that concludes my report, and I look forward to seeing the results.
Thank you. So do we have a motion? Maybe we can do a motion as a slate. Anybody have a motion for a mayor and mayor pro tem?
I'd like to make a motion, but I did this last year, so I don't want to be a pig about it. I'd like to let somebody else if they want to. If not, I'll do it. I'd like to make a motion that Mayor Kelly Krebs be elected our next mayor, and that Councilmember Robert Parkhurst be elected our next mayor pro tem.
Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Do we need public comment?
Oh.
You'd think after a
Well,
year.
He's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready.
I'm already packed up here. I don't know if you noticed. Madam City Clerk, is there any public comment on this agenda item?
The city clerk's office did not receive any requests for public comment this evening.
Any public comment from the public, going once, going twice? Okay. Bring it back to the council. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously.
Yay.
Yay, congratulations. The meeting's still open. We haven't closed it yet. Congratulations. Mayor Pro Johnson's here.
Sorry, I didn't notice.
It's 7:30
Well, thanks to all. I've, you know, this is not a automatic, but about as close to automatic as. In fact, I actually had to delete a line in my recognition of the mayor to say that I had enjoyed working alongside him for this year because I look forward to implementing many of the things that he did as mayor, and I thought, well, I shouldn't say that before we actually do the appointment. So I it's not unexpected that this would happen, but I appreciate the support, and I look forward to taking the lead over the next year. Although, I've been telling people that the difference between this and this is just sitting here and running the meeting, and otherwise we're all equals and we all have the same responsibilities and the same voice. So I am pleased to hold the gavel. I may actually use it. I know that's like verboten around here.
Do it.
Madam City Mayor, would you like to be sworn into your role?
Oh, yes, that would be lovely. Thank you. Especially since our initial swearing in was over Zoom in 2020. Stand behind. I, Kelly Krebs, do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely and without mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. All right, as my first official act, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Have refreshments. Refresh.
Please join us.
Hi.
I know.
Now I can get motions and stuff.
Oh,